out, there are truths that must be self-evident for all Americans. That indeed that the invasion of Lebanon and the destruction of its infrastructure and the deliberate targeting of civilians through the barbaric, indiscriminate, disproportionate Israeli war machine is indeed criminal and must end now. And all the prisoners and captives must be released, just as the UN demands the unconditional release of the 2 soldiers. So do we demand the release of thousands of civilians, thousands of prisoners that are held in the dungeons of Israel. Civilians that were kidnapped by the Israeli occupying forces against a sovereign nation, against a sovereign people. Let the prisoners go today. Brothers and sisters, Palestine, the West Bank and Gaza, all have been and continue to be under the repugnant illegal occupation by Israel. The heinous illegal occupation must end today. The massacres and the genocide committed against the Palestinian people must end today. The Palestinians deserve the right to self-determination. They deserve to have their own representatives. They deserve to have their own leaders and parliamentarians free to speak for them. Brothers and sisters, we must recognize here in America that our extremely biased and lopsided foreign policy in the Middle East must be rectified. We have to be a fair broker. We have to maintain our credibility in the war against terrorism. We cannot allow others to hold us hostage, allow an Israeli agenda that controls our Congress to keep us hostage. We must stand up and we must rectify our foreign policy. Lastly, we must put an end to the massive military aid that our country gives to the State of Israel. Our Arms Export Control Act tells us clearly that the U.S. aid is prohibited to be used for the purpose of military aggression against civilians. If what's happening in Lebanon is not aggression against civilians, then I don't know what is. Brothers and sisters, lovers of peace and justice, we must not give up hope, and we must maintain our stand for justice. With justice, we will put an end to terrorism. With justice, we will be able to wipe out state-sponsored terrorism, and we will be able to conquer the terrorism of the bandits. We must have an even-handed policy, and we must stand for justice. And lastly, I want to leave with 2 last small messages. One is for Mr. Bush. Stop calling Islam Islamic fascism. Stop calling Islam